and let us see how it goes. So I hope everybody is okay with this, because all the participants should agree to recording it. Everybody is happy about it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as I was saying that recording is, listening to the lecture is not important really, because what I say in the class is something that so many people have said on the internet. You can see them in text, in video, in audio, and in better voices and in better settings. What is the main point of being in this class is to interact, to deal with your problems, or to create new problems in real time. The problems may not be totally new, but the problems that you have not seen before. Or so that is the whole idea. So I'll continue with the discussion that we had last time. We were talking about VI editor. So two topics of interest to us right now in the last couple of classes: VI editor and awk. So how many of you have done some practice after we left the class on doing the VI editing? Or can someone summarize from you what is a VI editor and whatever have you learned so far? Can you give me a summary of that? Anyone of you? So this class, I insist again, I remind you again, should be interactive. Your participation is very important. Otherwise, of course, we can just record it and you can listen to it, or you can record, you can listen to something recorded better than mine. So just please be participative. So please answer your questions and let us see. Let me hear from you what is the summary of what we did last time in terms of VI editor. Come on, volunteer yourself and come forward. Okay, you first volunteer yourself, say, I will summarize, and then you can collect your thoughts and say. Okay, who is going to volunteer? I can see Sakshi has unmuted herself, so she's going to say. Is it right?
So,
okay.
So VI, yes, sir. So VI editor is a text editor, and we can, and it's basically used when we have to work on remote computers at because we don't have access to other computers. So at that time, we can use that. And it has two
no, VI
modes.
can always be used on any computer, but in the remote, it is particularly useful to work in the remote because some of your keyboard commands will not transfer properly in the remote system. But in local computer also we use VI. I work when I do a text editing, I always do VI editing. So VI is very much powerful editor. We don't create. Yeah, okay, carry on with this. Yeah.
And it has two modes, edit mode and command mode. And in edit mode, we can type our text, and in command mode, we can perform some operations. For example, we can move the cursor, we can change line, copy, paste, delete, and everything.
Great. So this is pretty much the summary of the whole idea, what we were talking. One thing I would like to just recollect and kind of recapitulate. What is the difference between a text editor like VI and document word software like MS Word or LibreOffice or anything like that, or OpenOffice? So what is the difference where text editor like VI on the one hand and these text document or document formatting systems on the other? What is the primary difference? And is there any other text editor like VI? Can anyone recall and tell me what is the basic difference? In an earlier class, I discussed with you BIS-WIG and BIS-WIM systems. So can you describe in those terms? That is a way to remember what do you mean by that. So can anybody remind?
So I think VI is a plain text editor. And MS Word is a formatted text editor.
So an HTML file is it a plain text file or it is a formatted file? Nimesh, you want to say something?
Sir, I think so. It's a plain text file, HTML file.
So an HTML editor is the same as the plain text editor. Can you create an HTML file in BI editor? Just trying to bring to your attention. Basically, you know these things that I'm discussing, but I'm trying to bring to your attention so you can see the difference clearly, how the VI editor or text editor, plain text editor, differs from document formatting systems such as MS Word. So if HTML is a very good example, where when you render it, it looks different, but when you see it is a plain text file. So can you create an HTML file using VI? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. I think it can be created.
Yes, yes. HTML file is a plain text file, so you can use VI for that. Can you create an MS Word file using VI?
No, sir.
No. Yeah, so this is the difference I wanted you to understand, and just recall yourself that you cannot create the formatted files using the editor. You can only create plain text, and you use these editors for creating plain text. In fact, if you do not have, if your if your file contains something more than plain text, computer program will not be able to understand it. That's why you need, for the inputs of the computers and your data, in many examples, you need to have plain text data or plain text formatted files as the inputs. If there are other formats, then the software that is reading those files should know about that format. So plain text is the kind of format that every program will mostly understand, and we can use it for using as the input for our computer programs. We can also use the plain text files for writing the programs. Can you write, for example, a Python program in MS Word? And of course you can write, but can you still write the program in MS Word, save it as a Word file, and run a Python code?
No, sir.
No. So for writing the codes, you need to, the computer programs required, your uh, programming code should be written in plain text. So most of the computer programs at some point or the other are basically plain texts. But when you share them, maybe the original code is not shared. Maybe you transform them into a binary file, which is called compiling the program and making an executable, which may be in a binary format. That again is not, that is not a plain text file, but the code that you write for the first time will almost always be a plain text. If you're writing multiple programs and you're adding them, creating a pipeline and all, that may also be done on the front end. It may look like you're doing it on a graphics, but somewhere it will be converted into a text, plain text, which is interpreted by the corresponding interpreter of the pipeline. So that's why the creating of plain text files is very important for writing your programs, for writing your scripts, and for writing your data, unless the data has a standard format like SQL. So SQL data is not a primary data. But if you write a plain text file like a text CSV, that is the data that computer programs can typically read. Data may also be in the form of an Excel sheet or some other database management system like SQL. So in that case, the programs will not be able to directly read these unless they have a plugin or an additional library inside the computer program that understands the binary format of that database management system or that spreadsheet format like the Excel. This point has to be understood well. So there are three use cases that I just mentioned to you when you need a plain text file. Plain text file is used for writing the data. This data does not mean it has to be a matrix. It can be a plain unformatted data also, like your text, plain text. So any data that you want the program to read is best written in the plain text in either a CSV format or in a JSON type format or a tree-like format, all in text. Or it can be written in the form of the database may be stored in a database management system such as MySQL or Microsoft Access or IBM database or other databases that are specialized database management systems. They create files which are called database dumps, which are in the binary format. Now your programs cannot directly read them if they do not have a plugin to read that kind of editor. Excel sheet cannot be directly read by your computer program. You have to save it as a plain text spreadsheet, a CSV file, and then you can use it. This is the first usage of the plain text files. Second usage of plain text files is to write the code itself. The code itself, or that can be a program, C code, a Python code, or a Bash program. They have to be written in the plain text format, and therefore you need an editor that does not introduce its own formatting instructions, its own binary inputs to the file. So these plain text files are useful for writing the codes and scripts. And all, of course, there are additional uses like you can save the debugging information into files and all. That is kind of related use of text files. Another advantage of text files is that text files do not change from one operating system to another. If you created a plain text file on Windows, you can read it in Linux. But other formatted files you may not be able to read from one operating system to another unless you have the right software to read them. So there are many scenarios where the plain text files are important. When you transfer data on the internet or in HTML data with formatting instructions, then you need to transfer the data in the plain text, which is also ultimately transferred in the binary mode. But the plain text is the standard that these different communication systems understand. And therefore, again, sending the data, when you write an HTML, you write basically text. And why when the browsers came, when the HTML was first introduced, the whole idea was to create an editor, create a system where we do not create bold font times Roman font or this font or that font, large, small, italics, underline, etc. These are the formatting instructions. So HTML separated the formatting instructions from the text. Instead of making it visible on the screen, it can be written as instructions. You can use tags, and then you write the plain text. The text tags will tell that this part of the code text has to be shown in bold. This part of the text has been shown as italics. Then the browser will convert these HTML instructions into the format that has been written in the HTML file. So this is a little background again for revision of why we need plain text files and how they are utilized in our programming and our communication scenarios. So then other question I asked, what are the other editors other than VI? Okay, I forgot this. I was saying Vim and Vig. I introduced these terms. So one of these editors are called what you see is what you get, and the other is called the what you see is what you mean. Can anybody recall what I mentioned through this last time, giving examples of the editors? These are the terms that I'm showing in the chat box. So what you see is what you mean or what you get. So
MS Word is Viswig.
Yeah.
In that one, the changes are like directly visible, whatever we.
Yeah, right. Great. So yes, MS Word is a Viswig system because whatever you type and the instruction, you don't write instructions that this part should be in bold. You directly write in bold. So what you see on the screen is basically what you will ultimately get. When you print it or when you see it on the screen. So when you see it on the screen or when you send it to print, then this is what you will get. This part is bold. It will be shown on bold. Right. Great. So then any example of Viswim?
Notepad.
Sir, HTML. HTML is.
Yeah, HTML is the system, but the editors are okay. There are two systems primarily that are very useful: HTML and LaTeX. So for many mathematical programs and in engineering, there is a language called there is a text formatting system used, which is called LaTeX. There are many variants of basically text formatting system. This is written as Tau E and Chi, and it is pronounced as TeX. And there one implementation of TeX which is most popular is LaTeX. Then there are other TeX versions also. So this has the formatting instructions for referencing, for style changes, etc. one big advantage of this Vim system is that if you want, after you have prepared your text, you want to show that this particular heading should be written in another font. So you do not have to search through your document. Every heading you do not have to change. You can directly convert the what is called style sheet. You separately create a style sheet, and style sheet will tell you how to show the headings, how to show the subheadings, and other everything else. So in the since we are talking about it, one more thing I can introduce here is that in MS Word software also, has any one of you used styles?
Yes, sir. Like
Yes,
I
sir.
have used, but
How have you used it?
styles.
Hmm? How have you used it? Can you automatically change all the headings at the same time, all the titles? Let me just show you, and maybe some of you have already used it, but those who have not used it, and for those who have used it and would like to know a little more subtlety about it, so let me use this. So this is an MS Word document for you. No, I think I should use some other text. This is a reference letter for someone. I can take some random text from the net. Okay. So now I have some text here. As I click on the first part, you see that it is heading 1. Here is the formatting instruction. Have you used this? How many of you have used this part, using this heading 1, heading 2, title, etc.? When you write research papers in the future, this may be very helpful. And if I click on this, it is heading 1. If I click the second line, you can see that this is not heading 1. This is, it's not clear what format it is. Maybe it is just a plain unformatted text. So if I change this, I can choose that this is my heading level 2. And this is my heading level 3. And let us say this is my title. And this is my heading level 4. And this is my, let us say, normal text. And then I write again heading 3 here, just to demonstrate to you how it works. This is heading 3 again. And let us say this is my heading level 2 or 1. Now, this is, I have already assigned this text to different sections. And if I want to change that, my heading should look differently, I don't have to go to every heading and change it. Can somebody tell me how can I do it for all the headings together? I want all these headings to have another style. Anybody knows about it? Okay, so here you say change style. And you say these are the already existing styles that you have. So you as see, if I go for distinctive, this is my style. If I go to fancy, it looks like this. I just choose a style which is called fancy. Now, when I see fancy, see all parts of the text have changed. So this everywhere there I had a heading 1 will look like this. Wherever I had heading 3, this will look like this. So I do not have to go to every line and reformat it. So this is the whole idea of using styles. So this is some level of function. Okay, can you hear me now? I think my audio was somehow I threw in my
Yes, sir.
phone. Okay, so did you understand this style that how can I change the text style completely for the entire text? So this is, as I was saying, this is the whole power of changing the entire formatting system by a single change. You do not have to go to every section again. When you write research papers, then there are multiple levels of headings. You don't even know that the top level heading and second level of heading how you have formatted. So you have to remember and keep on changing it. So that is where these styles help. So this is like the feature that originally comes in Vim editors. So you do not type text, you just type the HTML. You say like this, just giving you example, not really. So HTML will look like this. Heading. It will not, heading is not the correct tag, but just for example, let us say heading, and then this is my text. And then I say my heading is finished now. In HTML, actually, it looks like this. H1, top level heading. I think I showed you an example last time. I'll show you by typing this in the HTML editor. I have already shown it earlier by creating a text file with these headings, but I'm just reminding this for you. This will tell you the second level of heading. And then you can write fonts. For example, this. So you will write the font information, size information, etc., and you can write the tables, etc. So when you write your formatting instructions and write the text, these files will be plain text files. But the file that you have formatted in this way and you save it as a Word file, they are not plain text files. So these are Visbig editors that are creating these files. So this is the important point that I wanted to remind you. It's why we need plain text editors. Now let us come back what we learned about the VI editor last time. Recall those skills within VI and introduce a few more. So we were using JS Linux for our practice for the VI. Or maybe I can use a screen from one of you so that I can directly help you to debug yourself also. So would someone like to volunteer and do VI editing for me? One of you please volunteer yourself and share your screen. It is fun to participate and to come to the stage and make mistakes. So don't be embarrassed if you don't make if you make mistakes. At least you have the courage to come forward. So take to the stage. Yeah.
Sir, may I?
Yes, Tarun, please. Yes, open some text file. Did you write something yesterday? I'll ask you to repeat the commands that you did yesterday, and then I'll introduce additional commands. How will you open that file? Yeah, first you will write VI. You have to open the editor. It will not open directly. You have to write the VI, which will call the editor, then space. Then you write the file name. Okay. So basically, we are trying to write a shell script in VI editor. So simultaneously, you will run something about shell, and you will also learn about the text editing. So let me ask you a simple question first. Can you delete all these lines in a single command? Can somebody tell how to delete all these
Clear.
lines?
Control Z.
Clear.
No, it is the text file. You cannot clear. You clear screen by typing clear.
Z
Now,
comes.
now this text is not on the screen. This text is in a text file. So in the text file, how can you?
Sir,
I can
first
type
like
10 and then DD.
Yes, excellent. Who gave this answer?
So
Well
Sakshi.
done. Sakshi, well done. This is very good. So, Tarun, can you follow this suggestion and try to do it on the screen right now?
sir before DD, what's he said?
Now, Sakshi, you can take that role. You can tell him again.
Yes, please.
10.
N. Yeah. But first I have to do it line by line, sir.
No, that's not what I asked you to do it in a single command. So listen to what Sakshi said carefully, and she has given the correct answer. Just follow that.
First I have to select all the text and
No,
then
just stop here. Don't do anything. Okay, Sakshi, since you already answered how to delete all lines in a single command, can you also tell him to how to restore everything that he has lost? Just the same way that you said 10 times you did DD. For you have to use the undo command. So what is the undo command?
So 10 U.
Yes, 10U. Can you type 10U, Tarun? 10 means 10. Type 10, 10, and U. No, not like this.
okay,
No,
like in
you're not
command.
in the command mode. That is another problem.
Yeah. Now I
So
press this.
now I
Now
think
I
you
am
will not be able to restore it, but let us try if the memory has it in your system. So go to the command. Yeah, okay, you got it back. So sometimes if you switch from the command mode to edit mode, your last commands are not restorable. So this your VI editor implementation may disable it. But luckily you could restore it by doing 10U. Actually, you could do it by a single U if you had deleted it only once, right? So U is for undoing what you have done earlier. So now use this command of 10DD. Can you use it?
no, sir. Like 10 DD is not working. Single DD is working. It's
Why it is
deleting
not
line by
working? Now you have to think why it is not working and you have to get it working. You do one U
line.
first. How many lines you have?
Oh, okay, let me try. Like I have 7 lines, then I must
No,
have
it doesn't.
7 DD.
So 7 lines again, the command can work in two ways. Let's suppose you have only 7 lines in your file and you type 10DD. Then you do not have enough lines. So either the command will fail or it will delete 7 lines.
Okay.
So it may work both ways. But remember what is wrong if you are typing 10DD here, it is what it is doing. Just type 10DD here wherever your cursor is.
No result. It's not working.
It's not working. Are you in the command mode?
No. Yes, sir, I am. Like single DD is working.
Okay, just undo this. Undo and type 2DD.
Not working.
Okay, it's not working. So now can somebody tell me why it is not working? Let me see if you can discover it yourself. I give a lot of importance for you people to discover your commands yourself. So please try to do this again. Why it is not working and try to find an answer for this. Of course, I have not answered that yet, but you should be able to figure out.
Sir, can we select all the text and then go for DD once?
Second,
Can we select all the text typed here and then go for DD?
have I taught you how to select text?
No, sir, I don't think so.
You are thinking only the MS Word editing. That's why. So first thing you have to do for VI editing is to get out of the MS Word commands. There is no way you can do that. You can select, but that will not work here. You can use yanks the lines, but you are not yanking the line to delete them. I'm not asking you what to do. I'm asking you why 2DD is not working here. There are more than 2 lines here. There are 7 lines. So one reason could be that there are not enough lines, but there are 7 lines here. And you're typing 2DD, it is not working. When he's typing DD, it is working. No, you are perhaps trying the right thing. You want to do the experiment first and then tell. Good. That is also the right approach. Have you figured out now?
Yes, sir, like DD is working on the number of lines below the line at which we currently are.
Of course, if you type 10DD, your program should know which 10 lines you want to delete. It will not randomly delete any 10 lines. So it will delete the lines starting from your cursor position. If you type 3DD, 3 lines starting from your cursor position will be deleted. So this is one command of DD that we are trying to recall and practice. So now all of you must have figured out how this DD command works. And those of you who are on JS Linux, they can test it. Okay. Now I want your file has currently. Let us number all the lines. I told you a command yesterday to see the numbers on each line. How will you do? So the command to do that is go to the command mode first, then colon, use colon. So colon will bring this below and then type set nu, set number. SET set space nu. That's all. Enter. So now every line has a number. In your file, you have 11 lines now. Can you copy these first 6 lines and put it at the end of the file? Okay, before that, can you do something to go to the first line?
I can go manually.
No, not one by one, in a single command. Go to the last line in a single command. How will you do? Capital G. I'm just repeating the commands from last time. So you do Shift G. So it goes to the last line. Okay. Type
Yes,
dollar. Let us see where it goes. No. Don't go. Remain in the command mode. Don't go to editor mode yet. I'm not editing anything. I'm just using command mode. So everything that I'm telling you to manipulating the text will be done in the command mode. In the text mode, you only type. You don't do anything else. You don't do copy paste or anything.
Yeah.
So
now shifts me at the end of the sentence or line.
End of the line. Okay. Now you can use the bracket start command. Let us see what it does.
Start bracket command. Okay. Square bracket.
No, not square. The round bracket. It will take you the first position of the sentence. Okay.
Yes,
so I'll tell you another command. Can you in a single step go to line number 6? This is what I have not taught you. This is what I'm teaching you now. How to go to a specific line number.
Line 6.
So without in a single command again. So what again you type colon and type 6 there. Enter. So it goes to line number 6. So this is very powerful when you're writing program and debugging your Python code or any code. You want to go to a specific line. Otherwise, you have to go one by one and search for the right word. So you can go to the line number 6. Type some additional text here. Go to the editor mode. Type some additional text so that we can try to manipulate the text a little more.
Something like this.
Yeah, whatever. So, I mean, you have written too many hellos and I see so much of hell here. Can you also write some heaven? No, I mean, you don't have to specifically write heaven. You can write additional text, some other text, some sentence, maybe a song that you remember, or maybe a quote proverb that you remember, or anything, or maybe a mathematical equation that you remember. Be a little interesting also when you write text. So it is fine. This is correct. Maybe this is um, you don't want to show any emotions, but try to have some happy emotions while working. So write something interesting text. Okay, what can be more interesting than hearing this? What you are teaching really nicely. That is the most interesting thing I ever hear. Okay, now you don't have to write everything in one line. So go to the next line and type additional text. So why I'm asking you to write some text is that I will explain to you how to search text, how to repeat some words from here and there. So write some additional text here and there. Or you can take some random text from the net and type it, paste it here. Currently, I'm just trying to show you how to edit and manipulate text inside a VI editor. Now, pasting is generally not done inside VI editor, but only for convenience here. You can paste text from using mouse, using editing mode. It may not work in the remote. It may not work, but it works on this system. So therefore, I'm letting you use it. Usually, we should not use mouse at all when we are working in VI. We should not use mouse. We should only work with the keyboard. Okay, so let's try to do this. Now, can you search for the word teaching? So I'll teach you this command now, how to search for a word in a text file in a very simple manner. So again, instead of colon, you type slash in the command mode. Slash, not question mark, slash. And type here teaching. No, just slash. What are you doing? Just type slash there. Don't enter. Type slash.
Okay.
Don't enter until I say. Okay. Type slash and type here teaching. Now enter. So now the cursor has reached this word.
Yes, sir.
So how many of you are doing it simultaneously with this? Or you're just watching it? Sakshi is doing. I want more people to be involved and to be doing the same thing together. You know, if there are only 1 or 2 students responding to my class, I feel so lonely. I want more company. Can you all help me to give me some company? We are not using any computers also. We are just using some basic JS Linux on the web. So it should be easy to do. Okay, so now I have taught you how to search for a particular word. So you can try this command and just do a little practice. Search for additional words. Now, when you type word in your file, word occurs only once. Suppose you search for hell. Who will be a silly person to search for hell? But let me be one of them. So let us search for hell. So there are so many hells on the screen. Which hell will the cursor use? So it will find the hell, which is, somebody answering.
Single hell is enough for this cursor, sir. Whatever he has
So
done.
wherever is your cursor, the first occurrence after that cursor position will be shown. If I want to go to the next position, do I have to search again? No. I will just type N. Type N. No, not here. Just search
After
hell. No, you have searched once. Now the command line knows that you have been searching for hell. So command will be very happy to give you hell. So now enter hell. Enter. It will go to the first position. Now type N here. Just type N. Like N for next. N for next.
Okay.
So it will go to the next occurrence. So that way you can scroll for all the positions of all the occurrences of hell throughout the hell. Okay, now
Yeah,
you
what
learned it.
in-
So you
yes,
understand
yes.
this is another command that we learned now. So a few things. Let us summarize what we have learned so far. These few things. First thing we learned was how to delete a specific number of lines. That was yesterday, and we just revised it. Then today, what we searched was we how to set numbers. This is again we learned it last time. I repeated for you. Now I helped you to find out a specific word in the file, so that can be done by slash. Before that, I taught you how to go to a specific line number. So you just type colon and the file number, line number. It will go to that line number, and then slash and the type the word. Then it will start searching for this. Now, without searching again, you can search all occurrences of that word by typing n. So n means next. So it will go to the next search. I give you 2 minutes to practice this. Then I'll teach you one more command. So Tarun, you can practice it here. If somebody else is willing to come forward, I can share time with you. Tarun has been doing it. Whenever another person is ready to also share their screen, they should come forward and say that now I will show my screen.
Sir, how can I remove these number tags?
Hmm. I don't remember this. Maybe you can do unset. Try this. Colon unset. But these are not part of your file. Can you do unset NU? I don't remember how to remove them. So no, it doesn't work like this. I don't remember that. So one good way is, I mean, not a very best way, but is to quit the file and open the file again. So you do colon WQ. Somebody can check how to unset these numbers. I don't remember it. And then just reopen this. Okay. You want to set numbers. Okay. In your school, have you ever read a poem? Have you ever studied any poem in
Yes,
your
sir.
English classes? Can you write any poem here that you remember? And if you cannot write, you can take help from your classmates. Somebody will help you to write it here.
Actually, I didn't like English poems, and I
Don't
did
worry.
not.
That is another art
I
of life. That is another part of life. Let me explain to you. There are many things in our life which we don't like, but we have to learn to live with them and to deal with them. So at this time, you have to deal with something which you don't like. Now, at this point, it is not for interest. This is for a utilitarian purpose. We should always in our life be ready to work with and to interact with things or people we don't like. Eventually, you might start liking them, or maybe you don't want to put that much of effort, but you may need to do it for professional reasons, and for functional relation is very important. So don't run away by saying I don't like poetry, so I don't want to write it. It is expected that every student who passes 12th class knows this much of poetry. So it is not a good idea to say I don't like it, so I will not read it. So this is my
Sir,
view. You might disagree. Yeah, somebody is saying something.
yes, sir. Actually, I used like Hindi poems, so I
No,
didn't.
you can write something else. Okay, no poem. Then write something else. Write some speech. Write the instructions your mom may have given you when you left school. Okay, Sakshi has found out that for removing the numbers, you to set no number. Set and no NU. Thank you, Sakshi, for this. So you can try that command. Set no NU. No, not there in the command.
Set.
No NU. Instead of NU, you type no NU. Together. Okay. Thank you, Sakshi. Here. Now, take another advantage here. When you go to colon, the commands that you have already given over the colon before, they will remain in the memory. So type colon, use arrow key to go the previous command, what you had typed earlier.
No,
Up,
sir, it's not working.
up arrow.
Yeah, it's not working.
It's not working on this system, but in many VI systems, the history of the commands will work. Okay. Okay. So you learned this set no also, and searching and how to scroll through the search. Let me trick you a bit here. Can you search for empty characters, spaces? How will you search? Type N. So you can search for. Now I tell you a very useful command here. Please pay attention. This is slightly going to the more advanced level, but something I can show you I use. Type more text so that I can really show you the power of that. Write
Something
something.
more.
Write a bit, one paragraph about the uh, proteins. What are proteins? You're from biology background, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Write a few sentences about proteins.
Oh,
Just give me a second.
Can someone tell me how to delete a single alphabet or word?
Type X in command mode.
Yeah, I'm in command mode now.
Type X.
X. Okay, let me try. X is not working.
No, X will work. You go to command mode, go to the cursor position which you want to delete and type X. Not capital X. You have to type lowercase x.
Yeah, it's working.
Capital X also works, but it will delete the next character from the cursor position. Okay, so you have some text here. You write a little more text. Use next line by entering it here, entering something. Can somebody dictate some text for Tarun? I think Tarun does not like to remember and type text. So somebody else can help, somebody who has a lot of talking habits like mine. Okay, now you have switched on your memory now. Okay, this text doesn't have to be correct because we are not learning science and learning chemistry here, just the text thing. Okay, now I want in this file every small m to be replaced by uppercase M. This is a command I will teach you. Okay, listen carefully, everybody. I want to replace every small m occurrence by a capital M occurrence. Type colon, %s, %sign, not M. No M.
Okay, okay.
%sign, use not M. No, you don't need M.
Okay, so
No space. No, you just escape. Yeah, %s, small s, slash, small m, slash, capital M, slash, G.
small.
Yeah, this is enough. Just don't enter yet. Let everybody take note of this. Those of who are you working with this together can also look at this command carefully. %s means substitute. Then between the first two slashes is the character or the word that you want to substitute. And the second part of that will be the character or word which you want to replace that substitution. And G is for global everywhere. You want to change it in every position. Now you enter and see the result. Has it done what you wanted?
Yes, it has done. Like, yeah, yeah.
So you can just search for small m, and is there any small m remaining? /m, not colon, slash. For searching, we use slash, not colon. No. Okay, and for M, capital M, now you can search. Okay, so you have achieved it. Can you now, just for expanding this command a little more, can you remove all the blank spaces in the file?
Oh, I didn't use G.
Not slash, colon. Done?
Yes, sir.
So do a little bit of practice, those of you who are here. Can you now get back your spaces? Yes, you will return because you can undo your command if you.
If I want to change a particular space or particular alphabet, not O, then what should I use?
Then you write that word together with the space. Then you write the longer space. For example, you do S and write S space W space W slash SW slash G. Now you are basically pinpointing that this macromolecules in which that space on the left is S, on the right is W. So you are using 3-letter substitution. You're replacing it by SW. So this will replace this particular occurrences. Enter now. Right? So you have to create your command properly so that you can get the desired results. So this is very useful for, again, while writing the programs, you have to search for sometimes a special word, you have to replace them, you have made some mistake, you want to replace O by 0, etc., etc. So that kind of substitutions you can achieve using this. You can also achieve this, for example, in a protein file, you want to change the protein name, capital, small, or you want to extract certain characters out of that. So these kind of things can be done. So these are some basic commands that I have taught you. You can go to VI editor manual and look for additional commands. There are many more commands, but now you have an idea, you have the feel of VI editor. You have been able to move from the command mode to the editing mode and save the file and undo your text. So now you have the basic expertise to play with the VI editor. You can achieve much more by looking at all the possible commands, some of them which you will use frequently, some of them you will not use. Now, I would like to write one bash script in VI. We did it last time, but let me make you do it again. So some bash script, which we will write in VI editor, and then we will run it. Okay, can you now, Tarun, delete all these lines? And let us get serious. Instead of writing the poetry on this file, we will write some program. Some bash program. Okay. So as I said last time, for first line, usually in a script, It starts with a colon, no, hash. You type hash here. Go to editor mode, type hash, then exclamation mark. /bin. You have to give the path where the script interpreter is present. Bash. Okay, just enter. This is just an instruction to the interpreter that this is the shell I want to use. In many shell scripts, this may not be required. It will run without it. So just go to the next line. So just for improving readability, enter to the next line. Okay. So let us think of some command lines, some command line, some commands of the bash shell that we have learned so far. So can you recall any of those commands and put them into this file, and then we will run this file from outside. Any commands that you remember? You have learned about echo, you have learned about calendar, you have learned about catting something, and etc. etc. Cat bash, there will be no bash here, so it will give you an error. There is nothing inside the file called bash. So it will not give you any output. You go to the editor mode by A.
By I.
No, by I will insert you. If you want to go to the next character, you type A instead of I. You delete this line, double D. Go to the end of the line, shift $. Use $. A now. To go to the editor mode, type A, not I.
Okay.
When you type I, then it will insert a character at that position. If you type A, it will edit from the next word, letter.
Okay.
Type some more commands here. For example, date, it will give you current date, or calendar, or ls. No space after ls. No, there should be no space after ls. No, sorry, there should be a space. I'm sorry, I'm saying the opposite. There's no space here. You have to, after you write ls, use space. You remove the other two ls. Okay, now delete AA.
Oh.
You can do undo. Go to, take the arrow key below. Scroll down, yeah. You can type here, who am I? WHO. No, together. एक साथ.
Okay.
Together, who am I is a single command.
Okay.
Next, you can write who. So these are some commands in bash, which I'm just putting together. Just okay. Okay, let us just go get out of here. And save this program. Save this program. So command mode, WQ, write and quit. Not like this. You have to remove colon from there. Inside, okay. Now inside the program, you cannot write any random text. You have to delete all the text. That doesn't make sense for a program. No, just go back. Use back. No, you did not save it. You did. I think you lost everything.
No.
Oh, it came there. Okay, so now delete this text, colon. Now you do colon, WQ. Okay. Now you run this program. You don't need to give path. You do // Okay, so all your commands that you put in the file have now been executed. Okay, so this is the kind of usage for writing the scripts. So in the next class, I will take up a few more scripts for inside Bash. Remind me to teach you the loops and the comparative statements inside a Bash script. I'll teach you how to do something in a loop. For example, I can add numbers from all the odd numbers or all the numbers with a sum of an AP series I can do. So those kind of calculations I'll teach you in the next class. Okay, if you have any questions for today, you can ask me now. Fine then. Thank you for joining the class today. I'll put this video on the YouTube, and there is a channel where I have put some of my earlier lectures. The channel name is called Sci-Fi Lab. So in that channel, this class will also be placed. Maybe for some time, maybe not for forever, but for today, I'll just put it here. So this is called this one. You can subscribe to this channel, so and you can check for new entries also. Okay then, thank you. Have a great evening. See you in the next class.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.